Alright, Barley Bunch, one of my first videos I ever made was about the revolution in Richmond. So I decided to drive a few hours and make a video on the revolution in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So here we go. First stop is Independence Hall, where the Declaration of Independence was signed. Originally called the Pennsylvania State House, Independence Hall is known as the birthplace of American freedom. In this very building, colonial leaders debated and signed the Declaration of Independence, taking a bold stand against British rule. Just over a decade later, they returned to draft the Constitution, laying the foundation for the brand new nation. This hall witnessed the revolution not just in words, but in action. Independence Hall became a part of the National Park Service in 1948. This helped keep the building safe and open for visitors. Now, the Park Service takes care of it so everyone here can learn about American history. Time to join my tour! There are two main rooms that we went in during my tour. The first one was the Supreme Court room, where Pennsylvania's highest colonial court met. Judges in powdered wigs heard cases under British law, reminding us that before independence, justice here was shaped by the king, not the people. Next up, America's most historic room. Here in the Assembly Room, delegates from the 13 colonies debated and signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776. John Hancock and Ben Franklin and John Adams are among the most notable people present in this very room during the signing of this founding document. Although we celebrate this historic day on July 4th, the day that the document was approved, most of the delegates signed the document August 2nd, 1776. This chair at the front of the room was used by the George Washington in 1787. Take a look at the emblem on it that looks like a sun. Remind me to tell you about that a little bit later. After the Declaration was signed, things were not so great in the colonies. The document was traitorous to King George and thus began the Revolutionary War. Alright, I am at the Museum of the American Revolution right in the heart of Philly. We're going to go in and take a look at what they can tell us about the revolution. Let's go! Since before the beginning of the war, many people in Philadelphia were enslaved. They were forced to work without any pay or their freedom. They cooked, cleaned, and did hard labor in homes and shops, even though they didn't choose to. Some hoped the fight for freedom would include them, and few even risked their lives by joining the war in the hopes of one day being free. During the American Revolution, women in Philadelphia helped in many ways. Wealthy women like Esther Reed raised money and made clothes for soldiers. She even started a group that collected over $300,000 in today's money to help George Washington's army. Poor women helped too by cooking, cleaning, and caring for soldiers in army camps. No matter their background, women played an important role in the fight for freedom. Okay, so I have to whisper, but do you remember the chair that was in the Independence Hall that George Washington sat in? You'll remember the emblem at the top looked like a sun that was peeking over the horizon. One of the delegates, Ben Franklin, often looked at it and wondered, was it a rising sun or a setting sun? In other words, was America's future getting brighter or was it fading? After the Constitution was finished, Franklin smiled and said he finally knew the answer. It was a rising sun. That meant he believed the new Constitution would help the United States grow stronger and have a bright future. And would I really be me if I didn't stop at the nearest Starbucks? Lucky for me, it was attached to our next stop. Just down the way from Independence Hall, you can see it right there, is the National Constitution Center. That's where I currently am, and I can't wait to learn a little bit more. The preamble of the U.S. Constitution is the introduction that explains the purpose of the document. It lists the goals of the new government, like keeping peace, protecting the country, and making sure laws are fair. It begins with the famous words, "We the people." showing that the power comes from the citizens. While this museum is all about the Constitution, how it was written and what it means, one of the cool things about the museum is the rare artifacts it holds. The museum includes artifacts that show what life was like for everyday people, including toys that children played with during the Revolutionary era, like wooden dolls, marbles, and simple games. These pieces help us imagine what it was like to grow up during the birth of our nation. My next stop was the Hall of Signers. This hall in the National Constitution Center is a really cool room. It's filled with life-size bronze statues of the men who were a part of the Constitutional Convention. You can walk right through the room and stand next to famous people like George Washington and James Madison. The statues are set up like they were in 1787, so it feels like you've stepped back in time. It's a fun and powerful way to imagine what it was like when the Constitution was being created. And of course, I couldn't leave without taking some Founding Father selfies. And I think that's going to be it for this video. I hope you learned about the revolution in Philadelphia. I sure learned a lot, and I hope to see you next time. Oh, and treat me with kindness.